Hello and welcome back into March 2 of the pod presented by Eternal Roofing. This is episode 7 of season 2. This week, we're roughing up the rainbows. First, we got to recap the Cats' loss at UCF. We have a miscellaneous segment again covering volleyball, women's European football, women's golf. And then we're going to preview Hawaii's visit to Bowers Stadium this week. I'm your host and producer, Corey Hogue, the non-FBS insider at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find me on your favorite social media channels at Corey Hogue Sports. That's CORYHOGUE Sports. The knowledge of this show and the reason why we even have this show is the creator and manager of sports of SHSU, all one word, on Twitter and Instagram. He is the chief operating officer of the Cat Fund. He even has a real job, and he's proud Bearcat alum, Ben Sorrells. Ben, how was the week?
Besides the UCF game, it was good.
Well, that's good. We got a lot to talk about there. Hey, look, we have a packed show today. We have no time to mess around, and no, it's not my wife who said I got to be done by 5 o'clock. Listen, if anyone in this house has that kind of power, my wife does. Let's not lie. Yeah. But so does the dog, right? Yep. Sunshine, man. She got a time she eats, and if she's not being fed, she's staring a hole into my soul until she gets food.
We saw it last week. They're at the end of the show.
Yeah. So we don't have any time to mess around this week. But before we get into the recap of the game, we want to let you know about our friends over at Eternal Roofing. Listen, they're different. This is just a different place. Taylor Andrus and his crew over at Eternal Roofing do things the right way. They start by offering you free detailed roof inspections, fast professional service. They don't pressure you with any sales pitch. They do tremendous work. Listen, they only use the best stuff. They use CertainTeed shingles, known for superior weather resistance, exceptional longevity, and stunning aesthetic appeal. If you happen to be watching us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, you see the numbers right there and the email address on your screen. If not, get a pen and paper ready because they're coming right about now. In the Hill Country, area code 830-251-5673. Montgomery County area, you can give them a call, area code 936-215-8539, or you can email Taylor at Eternal Roofing TX. They cover Houston, they cover the Hill Country, they cover San Antonio, they cover Texas. They just cover everybody. They really do.
Cover everybody and everything, including Christmas lights as well.
They do. You're trying to jump ahead on the producer, aren't you?
We didn't cover that part in our very lengthy production meeting.
You mean the production meeting that went, hey, you ready?
Here we go.
Here we go. That's what happens when people have real jobs. Not me. Other people have real jobs.
Not Corey.
Not me. I do not have a real job at all. Hey, last week, Cats went out to Orlando, Florida, visited the UCF Knights, and the Knights scored the game's first 17 points before the Cats finally found the end zone.
End around, trick play, throws it, and he's got a man wide open, Evans. High-speed chase, and it's a Sam Houston touchdown.
And it was a Sam Houston touchdown right there. And what I find interesting on this one, and if you want to see the video, again, we are live on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. What I found extremely interesting about this play, Ben, is that after Casey Keeler talked about the gimmick plays that Central Florida has, that's the play they score their first touchdown.
It is, yeah. I know a couple people commented on that, and I know Keeler didn't mean it in a condescending way. If anything, it was more of a compliment in how Malzahn and UCF uses the gimmick stuff. But yeah, it was interesting to see them pull that play out of the bag. It was the first time we've seen it in a couple of years, actually. That's Noah Smith's third touchdown pass, with all three of them practically coming on the exact same play. So, Yeah, it's definitely an interesting wrinkle. And Noah Smith is a very dynamic weapon. He played a little bit of quarterback in high school, so he can do it all.
Yeah, and listen, you could call it whatever you want to call it, and he called it gimmick plays last week. Either way, they're plays that take advantage of a defense that's too aggressive and not disciplined, right? And
Yeah.
when you see what happened here, they caught him. Noah gets that ball. Look at the safeties. The safeties are already even up there with Simeon. And then as Simeon runs by, this safety over here, this is the oh no moment right there. It's just too late.
Yeah, well, and it's exactly what Keeler said Malzahn does is you run sweep, 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 and then you run something off it or inside zone, then you go the other way with it. The jet sweep is something Sam Houston uses a lot, especially with Noah Smith. So when you see him coming off that that jet sweep, you think that's what they're doing, and so you obviously crash down, and he took advantage of it.
Hey, that made the game 17-7. But most importantly, he put that on video. Now, other teams are going to be telling their safeties on that jet sweep, be careful, watch, and make sure no one gets behind you. That gives Noah even more room.
Exactly. Yeah, and it could create a little bit of a lighter box too and open up some more options in the sweep or maybe RPO game there. So definitely helps to put that on video, even though, I mean, didn't really mean a ton in the game, but it definitely does help to put it on video and show you have that available to run.
Yeah, and it didn't really mean a lot because Central Florida led 24-7 at the half and had a 38-7 lead in the third quarter before Chris Murray from Wichita Falls.
Yep.
That's right. He made a highlight play in the third quarter.
Jefferson pumping. Hit as he lets it fly. And the flutter pass. Whoa. No whistle. Yeah. Picked up by Sam Houston. It's a live ball. Sam Houston has it.
Yeah, there was no whistle because that was called a fumble and a strip sack by Chris Murray right there, recovered by Trey Fields. And really smart play by him right there, Ben. I mean, we're going to go back and talk about Chris in a minute, but I want to give Trey Fields his credit for noticing this. And when, as we play this here on live, you can see the UCF guys kind of quit on that ball, and he went and picked it up. And, hey, that created a turnover right there because he was paying attention.
Yeah, and I mean, it really goes back to what Keeler said post-game and in his press conference yesterday that the execution in pretty much all three phases was pretty poor the other night, but the effort was definitely there. So, and that play really speaks to it, not giving up on the play. I mean, the replay definitely looked like he was throwing the ball. I think since it was ruled a fumble, they stayed with it, but you obviously can't give up on a play, and the whistle wasn't blown. And regardless of how you executed, they definitely played hard, and it showed right there.
Yeah, now Chris Murray is lined up. He's the third down lineman up near the right tackle. He's lined up over the right tackle. Now, this is a play when you watch this develop, the UCF offensive line reads the blitz coming from the outside linebacker, and they pick it up perfectly. As we run this through, they pick that blitz up perfectly. The problem is Chris Murray beat the guard, that right guard. He beat him one-on-one with speed and strength right there, and that's what caused that fumble.
Yeah, and I'm glad he was able to get home. It was good to see it. I think he obviously got home, and then there was one other play. I think it was him and Javon Leon got in there for a sack sometime in the first half, but felt like they were able to get pressure at times, just not able to tackle or wrap up or get a guy to the boundary and out on the sideline. So felt like the play calling and the gap positioning was not bad. It's just we weren't able to tackle, and Keeler talked a little bit about it post game. I mean, those UCF running backs put their foot in the ground, and they can go north and south, east and west with the best of them. So, but that's what you expect with a school like UCF, and we definitely saw some of that.
We sure did. Hey, the Knights held a 45-7 lead before the Cats put together a very nice drive to complete the scoring in the contest.
4-down territory for the Bearcats. UCF pins their ears back. Bauer taking a shot, and it's reeled in for a touchdown. Michael Phoenix the second. 22-yard strike.
And what a play that was. Now, listen, Ben, that was an 11-play, 80-yard drive. I realize it's backups in the game. But when your second team can do that, that instills a lot of confidence in the team.
And I think it shows the depth that you have too. I mean, because your twos going up against Conference USA twos should be able to play pretty well if they're going up against the UCF twos and putting that kind of drive together. So it was definitely good to see a little bit of positive momentum walking out of the building. And I mean, Hunter Watson's going to be the starter going forward, at least for the foreseeable future, unless something crazy happens. But it was also good to get Jace Bauer some reps because you never know what can happen at the QB position, and you got to have Bauer ready to go. So it was good to get him some live reps also.
Yeah, hey, he got reps and he got confidence. And on this play, when you watch the bottom, Michael Phoenix II is on the bottom here, and he's going to make a move. He's being press coverage. The safety, he's one-on-one. It's man-on-man. You can see that lined up. They've got a safety high in the middle. Everyone else is man-on-man. And Michael Phoenix just beats the guy off of the line here. And Jace Bauer, let's give him credit on that throw, too. That was very well placed.
Yeah, it was a great throw. I think he had 2 drives. First one, I think, was a 3-and-out, but that second drive looked good, and then obviously finished it off with that great throw. And great catch by Phoenix, too. I mean, it was raining pretty hard at that point, so good throw with a wet ball, and then a good catch, obviously. Contested catch there in the end zone.
Yeah, I was going to point that out too. What a good job of concentrating, getting that ball, getting the catch. Hey, look, Knights win 45-14. My thought from the beginning of that game was they're playing UCF, right? This is your difference between Power 4 and Group of 5, especially a Group of 5 school only in their second year of FBS. I know Keeler's disappointed from it, and I can understand why. The result itself, really not that surprising.
No, I thought it would maybe be closer to 10-14 instead of in the 30s. I didn't expect us to win, but I was very impressed with UCF. I mean, we've played A&M, Houston, Air Force, BYU the past 2 years, and I mean, those 4 teams, we never looked like physically outmatched like we did against UCF. UCF, I mean, they are legit 4 deep at running back, have one of the best O-lines in the Big 12. And I think they're a legit threat to maybe win the Big 12 with KJ Jefferson, who looked really good. So I was very impressed with UCF. We went on the road at A&M and BYU, and we were able to push them around for parts of those games, but we did not see that at all at UCF. So hats off to them, and I think they're going to be a really good team this year.
Hey, credit to Gus Malzahn having his team ready.
Yeah, that too.
It's not easy to be ready and full. Now, was that their home opener?
No, they played New Hampshire and beat them 58-3 the week before.
Yeah, well, that doesn't really count, does it? Anyway, Coach Keeler had some comments after the game.
We knew we were playing a very good football team, and we thought our best chance of winning was to execute. And when the bolts are flying, boy, we did not execute. You know, the number of blitzes that we didn't run that were called, the number of line movements, number of routes that weren't right. I mean, you know, when you play a good team, your best chance of winning is to execute. We played to the end. We played hard. I don't think we'll look at the tape and say we didn't play hard. But, boy, we didn't play very clean. And that's disappointing considering you're coming off a performance last week where we had 2 real penalties. And we played so clean on both sides of the ball and on special teams. So, again, I mean, a lot of it's inflicted by a really good opponent. That's what happens when you play a really good opponent. But for us to have a chance in this game, you know, we had to play clean. I thought we also had to get some breaks early or make our own breaks early. You know, we had 2 third and longs or third and reasonables or unreasonables where they converted on that first drive. I wanted to take the ball because I wanted to see if I could get, you know, one less drive for their offense that first half. Well, if we could have gotten the 3 and out or a 4 or 5 and out and gotten the ball back, you know, just a little bit different mindset in terms of you know, your team. Instead, they converted those third and longs, and they went down and scored that first drive. And obviously it gives them a lot of confidence. And all of a sudden we're talking about, maybe they're as good as what we saw on tape. So congratulations. Gus does such a phenomenal job. He's such a good football coach. That staff is really good. They have really good players. And my disappointment is, again, we just didn't play clean when the bullets were flying, and we had to do that to have any chance tonight. So we have a 24-hour rule. We will suffer for 24 hours, and then we go play who's ever next, and we'll take care of that on Sunday.
Well, from a fan's perspective, Ben, you're really not going to see a lot of what he's talking about right there. But that 3rd and 12, that's a big one right there. That's a big play, a chance to get off the field. And to be honest with you, watching that game after the first drive when UCF just walked their way down the field, I had a feeling at that moment the Cats were in for a long night.
Yeah, I think UCF had 5 penalties in the first half. It was not pretty whatsoever, and they just seemed to convert every third down. They punched it in, and then our first offensive drive, we get the ball to midfield, and Hunter Watson just kind of chucks it up into triple coverage. And Corey, I just sent you a picture of this, but this is the throw that he did. And if you look at the top of the screen under the ESPN logo, you see Simeon Evans wide open with his hands open, nobody within 20 yards of him. And if he throws it there, I mean, that's maybe a house call. And it's maybe tied up or you're at least in field goal range. So, I mean, I think it was just kind of a downward spiral from there. You couldn't get off the field on third down multiple times on the first drive, and then made a bad read, turned the ball over on a drive that you had already moved the ball probably about 30 yards at that point. So once that kind of happened, UCF just kind of kept the momentum going. It was hard to keep up.
Yeah, look, it was. And then Keeler expanded on some of his disappointment during the press conference yesterday. Here's what he had to say as we kind of put UCF to bed.
Yeah, for how well we played against Rice, that's how poorly we played against Central Florida. And they're so disappointing. And we knew Central Florida was going to be a different animal. I think analytics has them winning the Big 12. A number of analytic groups do. So we knew they're talented, and we had very slim margin for error. But, the first drive, we have a great chance on 3rd and 12 to get a 3 and out, and we have a perfect call. And we just don't execute the call to get off the field. And, those are the kind of things that you had to take advantage of early and to keep yourself in the game. And we didn't. And so the disappointment was, I just thought we just didn't execute at a level we could have executed to keep ourselves in the ball game. Again, we knew it was going to be uphill. We knew they're very good. So, again, that was a disappointment.
The good news from this, Ben, is that they went and played UCF. They knew they were playing a team that had more talent, more depth, more everything, and they come out disappointed, which gives you a lot of fire for that practice the next week.
Yeah, and in the presser too, he said, which was yesterday, that their Tuesday practice was a big work day, lots of contact, lots of work, and guys responded well. They looked good. So sounds like they had a good Tuesday practice, and hopefully they're ready to go for a big game Saturday against Hawaii.
I know this is going to surprise you, but your producer clipped that to play in the preview segment.
Which play?
No, your producer clipped the part of him talking about their Tuesday practice.
There we go.
See?
Shout out to the producer.
Well, let's not be crazy around here. Good Lord, man. Hey, before we move on any further, we want to let you know that we are a podcast on the Republic of Football Network and an extension of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Please like and subscribe to the podcast and follow us on the various social media platforms, including Twitter, where we're live, Facebook, where we're live, and Instagram at March to the Pod. That's March, the number 2 the Pod. That's also how you're going to find us on YouTube, where we're also live. If you want threads, it is the March to the Pod, again with the number 2, and it's all one word. And hey, before we move on, we want to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor one more time, our friends over at Eternal Roofing. I told you earlier about how they don't not going to pressure you. They're going to give you great service and all that stuff. That is all true. But they do more than just roofing. They do general contracting work. So that means they can paint the interior, exterior of your home or business. They can install your gutters, your garage doors, install floors. They can do any woodworking needs you might have, whether it be shelves or crown molding. They can repair sheetrock, which, sometimes happens. And they are the choice, Ben, because here we are. And by the way, I want to, let's do this. Because we're here in the middle, getting to the middle of September. If you're not on that schedule for the Christmas lights, you better get there fast.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably only got 6 weeks at this point. It's going to fill up real quick.
Yeah.
They'll put them up, take them down, do it all.
They do. They do. You don't have to worry about a thing, and your house will be the best looking one on the block.
Oh, yeah.
By far.
Make your neighbors feel bad.
That's right. You got to win that contest. And to win it, here's how you get a hold of them. In the Hill Country, area code 830-251-5673. Montgomery County office is area code 936-215-8539. You can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com. That's Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com. Listen, we can't tell you enough about how great a service they're going to give you there. Before we go any further, I don't want to go through this show without at least pausing for a moment. And just, we do understand what the date is on the calendar today. For some people, that is a very, very hard day, especially for those who were in and around that area and had relatives, and even for those who aren't, it can be a tough day. We're not overlooking it. We're here to give you a break from whatever you see about that and talk cats today. So we are very solemn with it, but we're here to give you some entertainment today, and maybe occasionally might get a little chuckle out of it.
We'll see what Corey brings up. But yeah, I definitely agree. And a big shout out also to those who have served our nation, like you, Corey, and everybody else out there. So big shout out to everyone out there.
Careful how you use that word serve, okay? Speaking of serves, let's go to serves and volleys, but not the tennis type. It's the volleyball type, Ben. They went 2-1 last week at the Oral Roberts University tournament in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They swept Oral Roberts on Friday. By the way, you thought I would have that ready. Guess what? That's right.
It's been a while since we've used that one.
I know. I wasn't quite ready for it. I think, well, at least we could do that for volleyball too. Later on Friday, they lost to Tulsa. It took 4 sets, and then Saturday they beat Bethune-Cookman in 4 sets. And hey, good news for the Cats. They had a couple of all-tournament selections there: Avery Fowler and Michaela Panikova. Did I say that correctly?
I think that's right. Yep.
Wow, without any practice too, Ben.
Right off the cuff.
Right there, man. Avery Fowler and Michaela Panikova earned all tournament honors there in Tulsa. Congratulations to them. This week, they're playing in the Roadrunner Classic. They've got Alabama and then Central Arkansas on Friday and UTSA on Saturday. Ben, they're at UTSA. That's not a big drive. This could be a fun thing to get some fans to there on Saturday before you get back home for the football game.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun tournament, and it's the second year in a row they're playing Alabama. They actually took a set from Alabama last year and almost took it to a 5th set, if my memory serves me correct. So we'll see what they look like, and then you've got 2 winnable games there at the end. And so I think the season started a little rough. I think the UIW sweep, getting swept by UIW in the second game of the year, was a little concerning, but followed it up by almost taking SFA to a 5th set, who's very, very good at volleyball. Then you won 2 out of 3 this weekend and took a set against Tulsa, almost took them to 5 sets. I think they're 6-1 right now. So Was a little bit of a rough start, but starting to see some progression. It's a young team, 6 or 7 freshmen on there. So good to see some development over the past week. And I think if you can win 2 games this week, and you got to feel pretty good. I mean, I remember I said this team was going to make the conference tournament, and I think they can. I think you got to get 8th place is what it is, and I think that's still a realistic shot.
All right, continuing our whip around coverage around Sam Houston, the women's European football team. Some people like to call it soccer, Ben, but I am a sophisticated individual.
We are European football watchers.
European football, that's right. They had a game against Louisiana Monroe canceled. Is there a story behind that?
Yeah, it was weather that day.
Okay. Well, bad weather happens. And then they played Rice. They lost 1-0. Look, the Owlets, they were seeking some revenge from the American football whipping they took a couple weeks ago.
That's a good Rice team. I mean, that's a Rice team that I think is 7-1 right now. And you played them pretty close, only lost 1-0. The goal was early, and things were pretty balanced the rest of the way. Obviously, you want to win that kind of game, but Rice is a good opponent, so losing 1-0 isn't terrible. So yeah, but they got their revenge. They did.
You totally skipped over the Owlets. That's a reference to a kid's show. Do you know which one?
I do not.
PJ Masks, I believe it is.
Okay, I've heard that show.
Yeah.
Can't say I've watched it.
Well, it's been a while since Gabe has been into it, but I believe that's where Owlet comes from. Then I threw in an American football reference. Man, we're all over today. It's going.
Yeah, right.
Hey, women's soccer team, they're hosting Southern, the Jaguars, 7:30 p.m. Friday night. That'd be another good one to get out to, Ben, to help kind of prep you for your fandom for Saturday for the football game after the volleyball game.
And I think it's the final game before conference play begins as well. So big tune up there. The past 3 games have been a little up and down with the tie against Lamar. No, I think it was a loss to Lamar, a tie against UIW, and then the loss to Rice. So been a little bit of an up and down last few games, so it would be good to get a win before conference play starts.
Let's get back into some positive news here. And the women's golf team had a tournament. They were at the Badger Invitational, which was hosted. Surprising. I was shocked to find out, Ben, that the Badger Invitational was hosted by Wisconsin.
Oh, wow. Never would have guessed that one.
Didn't see that coming either. Anyway, hey, the Lady Cats went up there, and guess what they did? They brought home some hardware. Grace Jin scored her first collegiate victory. She finished 4 under. She shot rounds of 69, 70, and 72, and that helped. It wasn't just her on fire there, Benjamin. No, the whole team. They finished in 2nd place. Congratulations to the Bearcats.
Yeah, pretty good field too up there in Madison, and picking up right where they left off, winning a conference title last year. It's a very new roster. Grace Jin is really your only returner that played a lot last year. So good to see her kind of carry the load and see some of the younger players step up, and going to be an exciting season. I mean, that's a team that wins consistently, has won multiple conference championships in multiple conferences over the last few years. So looks like another fun season on the way.
So this is a rarity, Ben, that we have gotten through the first 2 segments without a reference to Saw It First on Cat Fund. It is.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
Yeah, so let's inform people about Cat Fund and what they can find on there and how they can get involved.
Yeah, cat-fund.com, right there, producer right on cue, doing a great job. You can sign up and become a member today as little as $10 a month and support the athletes at Sam Houston. We have had some exclusive content on there, had a couple things yesterday, some injury news, some stadium news, some ProCat news, guys getting promoted in the minor leagues. So if you want the inside scoop before it comes out, definitely want to become a member. And if you want to support athletes, definitely become a member. We've got our auction and golf tournament coming up. Might have some ticket giveaways. We're looking at maybe doing some of that for the NRG game in a couple weeks. So definitely want to sign up and become a member and support the athletes.
I'm sorry. Did you say ticket giveaways for the game at NRG Stadium?
Yeah, working on a couple things. It might be sideline passes. Not 100% sure just yet. Still got about 2.5 weeks before the game. So we did last year we gave away tickets front row 50-yard line right behind the Sam Houston bench. So we're hoping to do that, or maybe sideline passes, one or the other.
So you're telling me that if I go and commit the $10 a month to help the Sam Houston athletes through at cat-fund.com, that I could be on the sideline when Sam Houston plays Texas State?
There is a possibility. I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, but there is a chance.
As someone who's been on the sideline at NRG Stadium, it's a pretty cool deal.
It is.
It is a pretty cool deal. So get a hold of it today. Get on there. $10 a month. That's as low as it can do, and you're helping the athletes because every bit of that money goes back to support athletes. And when you talk about Sam Houston and supporting the athletes, Cats love to support Cats, and that's another reason why we are so proud to be partnered with our presenting sponsor and our friends over at Eternal Roofing. Told you a lot about them already. Told you about their general contracting work. Told you about how they're not going to push you and do anything like that when it comes to the roofing. And they do a great job. But you know what? They got other things they can do as well. They specialize in commercial roofing. They can accommodate your HVAC system, any other roof equipment, while ensuring minimal disruption to your operations during the installation or repair. Now, listen. You go to the website. I've given it a few times today with the email address, but I cannot tell you, you need to go enough to eternalroofingtx.com. Go look at the gallery. They have a gallery of past projects. If you think anything I'm saying here is wrong, go look for yourself and see the quality work that Taylor and his crew does over at Eternal Roofing. They are your place for commercial and residential roofing and general contracting services throughout the Hill Country, Houston area, in the state of Texas. In the Hill Country, speaking of such, get a hold of them there. If you're watching live, it's on your screen. Area code 830-251-5673. Montgomery County office is area code 936-215-8539. And again, we are just extremely thankful to Taylor Andrus and the crew at Eternal Roofing for being our presenting sponsor. Ben, we ran through the first two legs.
Speed run.
We did. I think it might slow down a little bit right here as we get ready to rough up the Rainbows. First, give a recap of where we stand on the season. Ben is 1-1 versus the spread as he lost last week, and he's 1-1 again in the over-under as he also lost last week. But Ben is not alone. Corey lost last week on both of them, and I am 0-2 and 1-1 versus the spread. Ben, you had 30-20 last week. You had a 10-point game. I had 35-13, which was right on that bubble. If I'd have gone 35-12, man, I'd have had it.
Should have gone 38-13 or 35-10 or something like that.
Could have gone like 45-14.
Could have done that too. That would have worked.
That would have been great, right? Hey,
would have been asking for lottery numbers if you did that.
Hey, there was $1 million ticket sold at a gas station in Wichita Falls last night, and it was not me. I can tell you that. That's all I know.
Dang it.
I know, right? This show would have been a whole – I wouldn't have been – I would have. I'm a sicko, Ben.
Corey would be on the beach in Mexico or something like that. He wouldn't be recording today.
No, I'd still be here recording. That's how sick of a person I really am.
He's an official sicko.
I am an official sicko. Hey, speaking of official sickos, the home opener is Saturday, September 14th, 6 p.m. And there's a lot going on. The Bearcats have got a lot of fan engagement stuff going on out there, starting with the family tailgate at Bearcat Alley and special live performances starting at 4 p.m. in Bearcat Alley. You have country music artist Rodell Duff, who is from Houston, and alternative artist Braden Stewart. They are going to perform a concert there in Bearcat Alley. And then after the game, there's going to be the first ever drone show that you can stay and watch and see all the cool things that they can do with drones. My first question to you on this, Ben, is are drones overtaking fireworks as our entertainment?
Definitely seems like that way. I mean, Rice had a drone show at their halftime. Yes, I definitely think they are. I wonder, I'm not in the market for drones or fireworks, but I wonder what the cost is between the two, if it's cheaper to do drones or what that analysis looks like. So definitely feel like they're starting to overtake fireworks.
I need to find their stock company.
Right.
Get involved in that now because it's only going up.
Yeah, to the moon. Never sell, right?
To the moon. So how was the drone show at the Rice game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. Everybody that I've talked to liked it too. So, and everybody that I hear talk about drone shows in general, it's typically their first time seeing it, so they think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. So hopefully it gets people to stick around for the conclusion of the game, because a lot of the times fans and students want to leave second, third quarter. So maybe that's something that keeps fans there. And I think it's pretty smart to do it after the game and not before or at halftime.
Definitely, if you're trying to keep people there. You know what? Another thing that'd be cool is if they let people onto the field to sit and watch the show.
Well, speaking of sitting, or kind of along the same lines, is I know Sam Houston's doing like a freshman run out thing that like Baylor and Texas State, some of the other schools do. And so I think it's going to be one of the largest crowds in program history. You got family weekend, which always draws people. You've got the concerts beforehand, home opener, team is looking good. You've got the drone show. I mean, there's really no seats left online. I think it's going to be a really good environment at Bauer Stadium. And last year during family weekend in the home opener, there were 14,500. That was the attendance. And so I'm hoping it's at least that, maybe more. So should be a good environment at Bowers.
Give me your estimate for attendance Saturday.
I feel like there's going to be 15,000 plus. I don't know what they can list the number at.
Ben, this is just, take a guess. Give me your number.
Oh, I think there's going to be 16,000 in the building.
16 even?
On the dot. We'll say 16 on the dot.
Oh, good Lord, man. You got to go 16,252.
There we go. We can go with that one too.
And why? I don't know, but they never just go even.
No, never. But yeah, if it was, I think last year was 14,560 or something like that. And I think, and there were tickets available last year before that game. And there is nothing out there right now, pretty much. I mean, every site's got 5, 10, maybe 15 tickets on it. So should be a packed house at Bowers.
Anything else they have going on besides all the things that we've already talked about for fan engagement?
It sounds like the team's going to have a new walkout. Heard they've got some new fire, smoke, pyrotechnics, going to have a different kind of walkout. So between the freshman run out, team walkout, drone show, concert beforehand, family weekend, I mean, there's a lot going on. It should be a good environment.
Record it and give it to CFB 25 next year.
There you go.
All right. Let's dig into the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii. They are currently 1-1 on the season. They've got a win over FCS Delaware State and nearly upset UCLA 16-13 at home. Now, look, playing on that island is never easy, and it's not surprising to me that UCLA was within 3 points because, I mean, let's look at the recent history of UCLA underperforming, and then you add the travel to the island. That really didn't surprise me much.
Yeah, and I put out a tweet Monday as I was starting to do some prep for Hawaii, just kind of the stark difference between home record and road record. I'll have to pull it up here.
Oh, I got you right here, man. First off, the Warriors are 0-2 after a bye week under head coach Tommy Chang, who I'm old enough to remember Tommy Chang as quarterback.
Timmy
Chang.
You
know what? I totally knew that too.
Yeah, they're 0-2 after a bye under him. In the last 10 years, they are 1-9 after a bye.
And in road games under Timmy, 1-11.
And then the last 12 seasons, they are, where is it? I'm trying to find it here. 15-55 on the road. And so that's the last 12 years. The past 10 years, they're 38-31 at home. So, I mean, they're a 2-3 win team per year, maybe 1 or 2 win team per year, team away from home, and they're 6-7 win team a year at home. I mean, it is a stark contrast, home versus road. And Huntsville's their longest road trip of the year. It's 8,040 miles round trip. So it's going to be a tough travel for them.
It is, and that includes driving from the airport to Huntsville and back. They have lost their last 4 non-conference road games, but their last non-conference road win was 2021 against New Mexico State. In fact, the conference they've performed the best against in non-conference action is Conference USA. 3 teams mainly. They've mainly played UTEP. They've mainly played New Mexico State and La Tech.
Yeah, and dominated all 3 of them, really.
Yeah, they really did. But look, those were different Hawaii teams in those years. Hawaii's not the way they have been for a long time. But with Chang, he was under. I mean, when he was quarterback, they were pretty solid. He's trying to bring that same system back to Hawaii.
Yeah, and Keeler talked about it in the press conference, and I don't know if you clipped it. We didn't talk about it in our production meeting, obviously. But he was talking about the Hawaii offense, their run and shoot, air raid kind of offense. And we've seen that in the stat line through the first 2 weeks. I mean, the rushing numbers are not impressive whatsoever. I think their leading rusher has 70 yards on the year, maybe if that. But they can light it up in the passing game. Part of that was also due to playing Delaware State in their first game, putting up some big numbers passing-wise. But they're going to want to throw the ball, and it's going to be a test of the conditioning and depth for Sam Houston. It's going to be 90-plus degrees at kickoff, and you got to be ready to run with them. That's for sure.
Yes. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what Keeler had to say about Hawaii this week. See what the producer actually clipped.
The way to get a loss, out of your system is to come out on Tuesday and work. And we had a pretty heavy workload today. I mean, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, because of all the good versus good work we're doing, has really been, heavy workloads and a lot of reps and a lot of contact, and I think it's been getting us better. So good Tuesday today. Looking forward to playing Hawaii. First time I've ever played them. I think the first time Sam Houston has played them. They were right in the ball game with, Big Ten UCLA, and really had some opportunities to beat UCLA. And I'm sure they were very disappointed with that, but impressive that they were in position to beat UCLA. So, again, we're going to be seeing a wide open offense, very much more run and shootish than I would say air raidish, but some components of both. And it's going to be wide open, and their quarterback's a Texas kid we recruited that wanted to go FBS when we were FCS at the time. Big and strong, and got a really strong arm, hangs in the pocket. They're very aggressive defensively, very athletic defensively. We're excited to get back out on Bowers and get our home opener going against a very good opponent.
That was Coach Casey Keeler on his Tuesday press conference right there. And he talked about the Hawaii offense, talked about it being more run and shootish than air raidish. And that's how it has traditionally been, starting back with June Jones when he was the head coach there. And of course, Chang has just continued that. And then he also talked about the quarterback. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Ben, if you're looking on the screen, you can see this is from Pro Football Focus right here. This is the lineup. This is Hawaii's offense against the Cats' defense and how they rank against each other. And you can see Hawaii's offense there. Let's talk about that quarterback for a minute. Braden Shager, he needs 65 yards to reach 7,000 in his career. I don't know if he had reached that number if he would have come to Sam Houston.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if he was there instead of Eric Schmid, maybe. But, yeah, that's a lot of passing yards. And one thing to note on Shager is he missed all week of practice during their bye week. You could tell he was really struggling against UCLA with an ankle issue. So something to watch there. I think he was sacked 8 times that game. So it sounds like we might be able to get home a little bit, and he might be a little limited mobility-wise. O-line for them looked good against Delaware State, but definitely struggled against UCLA. So that's definitely one thing to watch with the QB and O-line group there.
Yes, and it's very important when you look at these to notice that this is 2 games of this season that they're showing these stats for if you're watching live on the screen. And of those, Sam Houston has played a tougher schedule overall than Hawaii has.
Yes, yeah, because, I mean, I think UCF is a better opponent than UCLA, and then I also think Rice is a much better opponent than Delaware State.
I would tend to agree. Did you see what Rice did to Texas Southern last week?
Man, I saw the Roos put out a tweet. There were 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it was like Texas Southern only has 26 yards of total offense or something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly. I believe it was 69-7, somewhere around in that area.
Yeah. And then one more thing I want to note on I'm glad you brought this up with the PFF grades, but Pofele Ashlock, he's there with the 72.7 slot wide receiver. Kid from Texas, had almost 1,000 receiving yards last year, has almost 200 yards already this year. He is their threat to really do some damage there on the outside. So he's definitely a name to watch and a guy they want to get the ball to a lot.
All right. So when Sam Houston has the ball, this is what the defenses and offenses are expected to look like. What takeaways, if any, do you have from this one, Ben?
Not a ton. Interesting that they put Dietrich there at left tackle because Eckert has got the majority of the reps, but nothing stands out too much. The Humphreys number is very impressive. I know they've been wanting to ease him in, but it feels like every time he is in the game, he's making plays. So the 87.3 doesn't surprise me. Would like to see the offense consistently get up in the 60s and 70s. Hopefully, once we get into Conference USA play, that can start to even out a little bit. But nothing too surprising. I guess it is nice to see this offensive line grade, even though it's not great, because I remember last year after 2 or 3 games, I think it was 30 or 40 and not 50s and 60s. So definitely a step in the right direction.
It definitely is. And that's why I want to put this up every week if I remember, and hopefully I do. But yeah, I think this is a good way to kind of look at and preview the game and the teams coming up. So let's move on into predictions. And again, I stayed on PFF.com this week to get the betting odds there. And when you look at the betting odds, Sam Houston is favored by 4.5 on the spread. They're favored on the money line minus 192. The over-under is at 50.5 right now. 99% of the cash, 88% of tickets are coming in on Sam Houston to cover on the money line. Again, 99% cash, 94% tickets. And on the total, 99% under, 87% under, which I find that extremely interesting, Ben.
Yeah, the over-under total is a little interesting. The Sam Houston dollar value percentage isn't surprising since this opened at a pick'em, so you can definitely tell almost all the money has been on Sam Houston with the line moving to 4.5.
That is extremely good analysis right there.
Thank you.
That is. That's good betting analysis too. All right. So we talked about that over-under. We're going to have I got some things to say about that here in just a moment as we give predictions. So Vegas says Sam Houston wins 28-23.5. which would be a record if, again, I can say this every
Half
week,
points.
somebody scores a half a point. So 28-24, 28-23, in between a field goal and a touchdown is what Vegas says. Ben, what you going to say this week?
What say you, Ben? Yep, back for another edition. I hadn't even looked at the over-under total. I've been looking at the spread, and it's interesting that you put in that implied total because my prediction coming in was 28-21 Sam Houston. So very, very close to what the odds say, very close to the over-under. So I'm going to go under and then say Sam Houston covers the 4.5 with the 7-point victory.
Okay. Well, that is an interesting take. No doubt. I am of the mind that the total is way too low.
Ooh, okay.
You have up-tempo offenses. You're going to, in my opinion, you're going to get some points. We've seen Sam Houston can move the ball. If they execute well, look what they did to Rice. Hawaii, I don't know that they're as good as Rice.
Right.
Hawaii is on the road. They don't do well on the road. I think I might be underplaying what the final score is here, to be quite honest with you. I think Sam Houston is much better than Hawaii.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm going 35-24 Cats, and I may be under by about a touchdown.
I hope you are. I think maybe some of my analysis is just based on the last 2 years of Sam Houston football. A 28-21 game feels like a shootout based on what we've done the last few years. So I would be very pleased if we get into the 30s. And we did it against Rice, and hopefully we can do it against UCLA. I mean, not against UCLA. That's who Hawaii just played, but hopefully we can do that against Hawaii. So what is that? We both have Sam Houston covering.
Yes,
and
we're
you're
both
going
taking
over.
the Cats to cover. I'm going with the over 50.5. You're going under 50.5.
I think this is also the first time either of us have picked the Cats on the podcast. Because I had us losing by 1 against Rice.
Yeah, this is the first time. And, this is the first time they've also been favored this year.
It is, yeah.
Win. I saw that line. It just seems money to me, especially when you consider also that the Cats, first off, Hawaii is so bad after a bye, and then they're on the road. And then the Cats are not – they're going to be motivated. Like this is not a week that they've been happy. This has not been a fun week for this team, in my opinion. I believe that there's been a little extra added focus. And, man, good luck to Hawaii, because I honestly would not be surprised if it ends up like 42-24 or 42-14.
I hope so. And if they go out and put out that kind of performance, which I definitely think they're capable of, a 2, maybe 3 touchdown victory, I mean, that really proves to the conference that, hey, we've got a legit shot to do some damage here. And I think it kind of shows you can compete with G5 teams, because Hawaii, I mean, they're a mid to low tier G5 team, but you beat Rice and Hawaii, you show you can play with really anybody in the G5.
Did you see Liberty, New Mexico State?
I stayed up till 1 a.m. to watch it. I did. Liberty has looked very vulnerable. So is Jack State, Western Kentucky.
Yeah, by the way, in case for those who don't know, now I'm running a live non-FBS blog on Saturdays, and that thing went 13 and a half hours on Saturday. So I got done about 12:35 in the morning, so I stayed up to watch the end of that Liberty game as well.
Probably also asking why you did that to yourself, going 13 hours straight.
Dude, if I'd won $1 million, I'd still be here on the podcast.
There you go.
Sick. I have a sickness, Ben, and that's why I do seek counseling.
I have a disease, and the only prescription is more football. Not more cowbell, but more football.
Sports. It's the only thing that heals me.
Right.
Hey, we want to say thank you as we come to the close on this show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you, Ben, for doing this with us and bringing all that knowledge. Without all of you, none of this is even possible. Until next time, hey, Ben, I need you to take us out for the first time this year. We're going to bring home a Cats victory.
Second victory of the year.
No, I'm talking about we're going to bring home when we have predicted the victory.
Exactly. Yeah.
I apologize for that miscommunication.
So eat 'em up, Cats, and let's go run it up on the Rainbows.
Let's figure out how many games we're winning.